This 6-week program was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and this video focuses on what I personally got from my time in Italy. I've talked about the cathedrals and masterpieces and ancient ruins that make Italy ideal for tourism, but this study abroad program provided more than the history of Italy. It provided a chance to experience the culture and gems of modern-day Italy. A large chunk of this unique perspective was provided in our second week, when we stayed at Massa Marittima, a Tuscan hilltop city with Etruscan origins. In this week, we visited modern artists, collectors, and even a medieval parade and pageantry. The first artist we visited was Marco Zeno, whose home doubled as a workshop. Surrounded by his masterpieces, he gave us a lesson on sculpture with a hands-on experience. Afterwards, his wife served us a large Italian lunch, which was delicious, by the way. On one of the optional trips, we visited the Organ Museum ran by Lorenzo, who was passionate about his instruments he saved and restored, and treated us to the nuances of sound each of the pieces provided.
Una sola canna, one pipes, Adesso ne mettiamo due. Adesso 3, sempre di più. Adesso 4 è il massimo di questo organo qui.
The second artist we visited was Rodolfo Lacquaniti in his sculpture garden filled with repurposed trash and materials that told a new story he calls the return trip. The tour ends with a room full of angels, each having a unique story as told by their components. Near the end of our time in Massa, we attended the Ballestro di Girifalco, a target shooting race with a crossbow. Originally, the target was actual falcons, but this was changed to a portrait of the Girifalco. The event begins with a parade of individuals dressed up in medieval-style fashion, representing the 3 districts of Massa Marittima: Città Nuova, represented by the white, red, and green flag; Città Vecchia, represented by the white, black, and yellow flag; and Bargo, represented by the yellow, gold, blue, and red flag. Then there were performances with flag tossing and finally the target race. Each of the cities were represented with much spirit, and you can tell it was a day of pride for each of the citizens. One of the special gems of this trip was visiting Cinecittà, a large film studio in Rome, and the largest film studio in Europe. It is considered the hub of Italian cinema. The studios were constructed during the fascist era as a part of a scheme to revive the Italian film industry, and in the 1950s, the number of international productions made there led to Rome being dubbed Hollywood on the Tiber. Although unfortunately I couldn't film the backlots, I hope these pictures do the sets justice. There was ancient Rome in its prime glory, in a city that spanned 3 separate countries. Some of the recent films to use the studio include Scorsese's Gangs of New York, Anderson's The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, and The Passion of the Christ. Being a lover of cinema myself, I loved walking around the fiberglass ghost towns and appreciating the power of the camera in presenting a scene. As for general experiences, whether it's buying a lot of gelato, playing with cute puppies, learning how paint was made in the past and why some portraits appear green now, or how artists use egg yolk for tempera paint, seeing how layers were built up and uncovered underdrawings, or whether it's the companions I gained along the way, this trip was a singularly unique experience that I will remember for the rest of my life. Although there were ups and downs and a hefty supply of exhaustion, I came home a new person, and I wouldn't change a thing.